Hi, my name is Wayne Dyer.
There is a quiet moment that arrives in every life when the noise of striving begins to soften, when the endless calculations of the mind grow tired, and when the heart begins to ask a deeper question. What if I am not meant to force my life into existence? What if I am meant to allow it to unfold through grace? Most people walk through the world believing that life is something they must control with relentless effort. They believe every step must be planned, every result must be secured, every outcome must be fought for. The mind becomes a strategist, a planner, a constant evaluator of success and failure. It measures progress in numbers, in achievements, in recognition, and slowly, almost without noticing, the human spirit becomes exhausted by the burden of trying to hold the universe together. But there is another way to live. There is a deeper intelligence flowing through this world that does not require your anxiety in order to function. The sun does not wake up in the morning wondering whether it will rise successfully. The rivers do not consult a map before finding their way to the ocean. The trees do not question whether they deserve to grow tall or bear fruit. They simply follow the invisible intelligence that created them. And you, too, were created by that same intelligence. There is a presence within you that existed long before you learned your name, long before you learned the language of fear and comparison, long before the world taught you that your value must be proven. This presence is the quiet center of your being. Some call it the soul, some call it divine consciousness, some call it God within. Whatever name you give it, it is the deepest truth of who you are. And this presence has always been guiding your steps. Yet many people spend their entire lives trying to walk without listening to that guidance. They allow the ego to become their navigator. The ego is the voice that constantly asks, how will I succeed? How will I win? How will I prove myself worthy? The ego believes that life is a battlefield where you must conquer uncertainty. It believes that if you are not in control, everything will fall apart. But the ego misunderstands the nature of life. Life was never meant to be controlled. Life was meant to be aligned with. When you begin to align with the divine intelligence within you, something extraordinary begins to happen. The pressure to force outcomes begins to dissolve. The constant fear of making the wrong move begins to fade. And in its place, a new awareness emerges, an awareness that your steps are not random. They are being established. There is a profound line in ancient wisdom that says, the steps of a good person are ordered by the Lord. This does not mean that life will unfold without challenges. It does not mean every path will be smooth or predictable. What it means is that there is a deeper order guiding your journey, even when your mind cannot yet see the destination. When you trust this truth, the entire rhythm of your life begins to change. You stop approaching life as if you must solve every problem alone. Instead, you begin to recognize that you are walking in partnership with the same intelligence that spins galaxies and breathes life into forests. And when you walk in partnership with that intelligence, the concept of favor begins to take on a new meaning. Favor is not luck. Favor is alignment. It is what happens when your thoughts, your intentions, and your actions begin to resonate with the deeper intelligence of the universe. It is the quiet flow that appears when you stop pushing against life and begin moving with it. You may have noticed moments like this in your own experience, moments when the right opportunity appeared at exactly the right time, moments when a conversation opened a door you had been searching for, moments when an idea arrived in your mind with such clarity that it felt as though it had been placed there by something beyond you. These are not accidents. They are signals. They are reminders that life is constantly communicating with you. But in order to hear those messages, you must become willing to release the noise of the ego. The ego believes that favor must be earned through struggle. It believes that success belongs only to those who fight the hardest and push the longest. But the soul understands something far more profound. The soul understands that favor flows naturally when you align with who you truly are. You see, you are not a separate being trying to survive in a distant universe. You are an expression of the very intelligence that created that universe. The same creative force that shaped the mountains and the oceans is flowing through your consciousness in this very moment. And when you begin to recognize that truth, you stop asking the world for permission to exist. You begin to move with quiet confidence. Not the loud confidence of the ego that constantly needs validation, but the deep confidence that comes from knowing you are guided by something far greater than your own limited thinking. This is what it means to allow God's favor to establish your steps. It means trusting that the path before you is not something you must force open with fear and anxiety. It means understanding that life is responding to the energy of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your awareness. When your mind is filled with fear, you close yourself off from the guidance that is always available to you. But when your mind becomes still and receptive, you begin to notice that guidance everywhere. It appears through intuition. It appears through sudden clarity. It appears through a quiet inner knowing that gently nudges you in a certain direction. Many people ignore this voice because it does not shout. It does not demand attention the way the ego does. It speaks softly, like a whisper carried on the wind of your awareness. But if you pause long enough to listen, you will discover that this whisper carries extraordinary wisdom. It will guide you toward opportunities that resonate with your purpose. It will guide you away from paths that drain your energy. It will guide you toward people who share your deeper values. And step by step, moment by moment, your life begins to unfold in ways that feel almost miraculous. Not because miracles are rare, but because alignment reveals that miracles are natural. Think of a sailboat moving across the ocean. The sailor cannot control the wind, but the sailor can adjust the sails. When the sails are aligned with the wind, the boat moves effortlessly across the water. But when the sails resist the wind, the journey becomes slow and exhausting. Your thoughts are the sails of your life. When your thoughts are aligned with fear, resentment, and doubt, you create resistance against the natural flow of life. But when your thoughts align with trust, gratitude, and love, the winds of divine intelligence begin to carry you forward. This does not mean you will never face obstacles. Every meaningful journey contains moments of uncertainty. Every path of growth includes challenges that stretch your understanding. But when you walk with the awareness that divine favor is establishing your steps, even obstacles begin to reveal hidden blessings. What once looked like a setback becomes a redirection. What once felt like a closed door becomes protection from a path that was never meant for you. And gradually, you begin to realize that life has been guiding you all along. The moments you thought were mistakes were actually part of a larger design. The detours that once frustrated you were leading you toward deeper wisdom. And the struggles that once seemed unbearable were shaping the strength and compassion that now live within you. When you see your life from this perspective, something remarkable begins to happen inside your heart. You stop resisting the present moment. You stop wishing that your journey had unfolded differently. Instead, you begin to trust the intelligence that has been guiding your steps since the very beginning. This trust does not make you passive. It makes you present. It allows you to engage with life fully while releasing the illusion that you must control every outcome. And from that place of presence, your actions become more powerful than ever before. Because actions rooted in alignment carry a different energy than actions rooted in fear. When you act from fear, your movements are tense, reactive, and driven by the need to prove something. But when you act from alignment, your movements become expressions of purpose. They carry clarity. They carry peace. They carry the quiet certainty that you are participating in something meaningful, and the world responds to that energy. Opportunities begin to recognize you. People begin to trust you. Ideas begin to flow through you. Not because you are forcing life to cooperate, but because you have opened yourself to the favor that was always available. So if you find yourself worrying about the future, if you feel uncertain about the direction of your life, pause for a moment and return to the quiet center within you. Take a breath. Feel the presence of life moving through your body. Recognize that the intelligence that created you has not abandoned you. It is still here. It is still guiding you. And if you allow it, it will continue establishing your steps in ways that your mind could never have planned. You do not need to see the entire path in order to trust it. You only need the courage to take the next step with faith, because the next step is where life meets you. It is where guidance reveals itself. It is where divine favor begins to move through your choices and shape the unfolding of your journey. And as you continue walking with this awareness, a beautiful realization begins to dawn upon you. You were never meant to carry the weight of the universe on your shoulders. You were meant to walk with the universe, to trust its intelligence, to listen to its guidance, and to allow its favor to gently, faithfully, and perfectly establish your steps today and every day that follows. And when you begin to live with that awareness, something subtle yet powerful begins to shift within the rhythm of your days. The urgency that once filled your thoughts begins to soften. The restless pressure to constantly figure everything out starts to fade. You begin to recognize that life is not asking you to predict every step ahead. Life is inviting you to walk with trust, one moment at a time. So many people carry the quiet belief that if they stop worrying, everything will fall apart. They believe anxiety is a form of responsibility, that constant mental tension somehow keeps their life from collapsing. But the truth is far gentler than that. The universe does not require your worry in order to function. The breath that fills your lungs does not wait for your approval. Your heart beats with perfect rhythm even while you sleep, without the slightest effort from your conscious mind. There is an intelligence moving through you that is already sustaining your life. And when you remember this, the mind begins to loosen its grip on the illusion of control. You begin to see that favor is not something that arrives after you have proven yourself worthy. Favor is the natural state of alignment between your spirit and the divine intelligence that created you. It is not a reward that appears at the end of struggle. It is the quiet support that has been surrounding you all along, waiting for you to notice it. Think back over your life for a moment. There were times when you felt completely lost, times when the path ahead seemed hidden by uncertainty. Perhaps there were moments when doors closed so suddenly that you could not understand why. At the time, those experiences may have felt like failure or rejection. But if you look again now, from the distance of time, you may begin to notice something remarkable. Those closed doors were often leading you somewhere else. The relationship that ended opened space for deeper growth. The opportunity that disappeared redirected you toward a path that eventually revealed a greater purpose. The uncertainty that once frightened you became the very place where your strength was born. Life has a mysterious way of guiding us, even when we cannot see the design. This is why the ancient sages spoke so often about surrender, not as an act of weakness, but as an act of profound wisdom. Surrender is not giving up on life. It is giving up the illusion that you must control the entire unfolding of it. It is the moment when you place your trust in the deeper intelligence that has always been working through you. When you surrender in this way, something beautiful happens to your relationship with the present moment. Instead of resisting what is happening now, you begin to engage with it more fully. You realize that this moment, right here, is the doorway through which divine guidance enters your life. The ego lives in the past and the future. It constantly replays old regrets or imagines future fears. It tells stories about what should have happened or what might go wrong. But the soul lives only in the present. The soul recognizes that the only place where life can actually unfold is right here, right now. And it is in this present moment that God's favor quietly establishes your steps. Sometimes that favor appears as clarity. An idea arrives in your mind with such simplicity that it feels like a light turning on in a dark room. Sometimes favor appears as protection, closing a path that your ego desperately wanted but your soul knew would lead you away from your purpose. And sometimes favor appears as patience, allowing circumstances to unfold slowly until the right opportunity emerges at exactly the right time. The mind often resists this slower rhythm. It wants immediate answers. It wants guarantees. It wants to know how everything will turn out. But the deeper wisdom of life moves at a different pace. A seed does not become a tree overnight. It rests beneath the soil, invisible to the world, slowly drawing nourishment from the earth until the moment arrives when it is ready to rise toward the light. Your life unfolds in much the same way. There are seasons of visible growth when opportunities bloom and everything seems to move quickly. And there are seasons of quiet preparation when it may appear that nothing is happening on the surface, even though deep transformation is taking place within you. Both seasons are part of divine favor. The world celebrates visible success, but the soul understands the sacred value of invisible growth. It is during the quiet seasons that your faith deepens. It is during the uncertain seasons that your intuition becomes sharper. It is during the waiting seasons that you learn to trust something greater than your own immediate understanding. And when the time for movement arrives, you step forward with a strength and clarity that could not have existed before. This is why it is so important to release the habit of comparing your journey with the journeys of others. Each life unfolds according to a rhythm that is uniquely designed for that soul's evolution. The path that someone else walks may look faster or more successful from the outside, but you cannot see the deeper lessons, challenges, and transformations that shape their experience. Your path belongs to you. It is written in the quiet language of your own spirit. And when you allow God's favor to establish your steps, you stop trying to walk someone else's road. Instead, you begin to honor the unique direction that your own life is unfolding. This brings a profound sense of peace. Because when you are no longer competing with the world, you are finally free to cooperate with the universe. You start to notice how life responds when you approach it with gratitude rather than anxiety. Gratitude is one of the most powerful alignments you can cultivate. When you feel genuine appreciation for the present moment, you are acknowledging the abundance that already surrounds you. And that acknowledgement opens the door for even more abundance to flow into your experience. The ego focuses on what is missing. The soul celebrates what is present. And the moment you shift your awareness from scarcity to gratitude, your entire perception of life begins to change. You begin to notice the countless ways in which favor has already been present in your life. The people who appeared exactly when you needed support. The ideas that arrived at the perfect moment. The inner strength that carried you through difficulties you once believed were impossible to survive. These are not coincidences. They are reminders. Reminders that you are never walking alone. There is a presence guiding your steps with a wisdom far greater than your own limited perspective. This presence does not demand perfection. It does not require you to have every answer. It simply invites you to trust the unfolding of your life with an open heart. Trust is not blind belief. Trust is the quiet knowing that the same intelligence that created the stars also created you, and that this intelligence continues to guide your path in ways that serve your highest growth. When you live from that knowing, fear begins to lose its authority over your choices. You may still encounter uncertainty, but uncertainty no longer feels like an enemy. It becomes an invitation to deepen your faith. Every step forward becomes an act of partnership with the divine. And as you continue walking with that awareness, something extraordinary begins to unfold. Your life becomes less about chasing outcomes and more about embodying presence. You start to realize that the greatest success is not measured by how far you travel, but by how fully you allow your spirit to shine along the way. When your steps are established by favor, your actions become expressions of love rather than desperation. Your words carry kindness rather than judgment. Your presence becomes a source of peace for the people around you. You become, in a quiet and beautiful way, a living reminder that life is not meant to be forced into submission. It is meant to be trusted. And the more deeply you trust this truth, the more clearly you will see that your life has never been random. Every experience, every challenge, every unexpected turn has been part of a sacred unfolding that is guiding you toward greater awareness, greater compassion, and greater alignment with the divine presence within you. So today, as you step into whatever moments await you, remember this simple but powerful truth. You do not need to push the universe forward. You only need to walk with it. Listen to the quiet voice within your heart. Move with faith even when the path is not fully visible. Allow gratitude to shape your thoughts. And trust that the same intelligence that placed you here is faithfully, gently, and perfectly establishing your steps. Not someday, not when everything becomes clear, but right now, in this moment, today, there is a quiet misunderstanding that has followed humanity for centuries, a subtle illusion whispered into our ears from the moment we are old enough to compare ourselves with others. It tells us that success is something waiting for us somewhere in the future, a destination, a trophy, a moment when the world finally turns toward us and says, "Now you have arrived." But if you listen carefully, if you become still enough to hear the deeper voice within you, we'll notice something extraordinary. Your soul has never believed this story. Your soul has always known that success is not a place you reach. It is a feeling you experience while you are becoming. And the tragedy for so many people is that they postpone joy until they believe they deserve it. They tell themselves, when I finally accomplish this, when I finally prove myself, when I finally become successful, then I will allow myself to feel peace. Yet, the universe does not work in that order. The universe does not reward struggle with joy. The universe responds to vibration. And joy is not the reward of success. Joy is the cause of it. When you begin to understand this, something within you softens. You stop racing. You stop measuring your worth by how far ahead you think others have gone. You stop treating your life like a competition. And instead, you begin to participate in the miracle of becoming. You see, you were never meant to spend your life chasing approval. You were meant to experience expansion. Think of a tree growing in the forest. It does not rush to reach the sky. It does not compare its height to the tree beside it. It does not wake each morning anxious that it has not yet become what it could be. It simply grows, quietly, patiently, faithfully. And in that natural unfolding, There is no stress, no fear, no doubt about its purpose. The tree understands something we have forgotten. Growth is not forced, it is allowed. And success in the deepest sense is not something you achieve, it is something you allow to unfold through you. The moment you begin to reconnect with this truth, you start to experience a profound shift in the way you move through life. You begin to notice that the joy you once believed belonged only to the future has always been available to you now. In this breath, in this step, in this moment of awareness, your life is not a ladder you climb, it is a garden you cultivate. And every thought you think is a seed. When you fill your mind with thoughts of comparison, impatience, and scarcity, the garden becomes crowded with weeds. You begin to feel that you are falling behind, that others are winning while you are losing, that life is happening somewhere else while you are still waiting for your turn. But the truth is that life has never been withholding anything from you. It simply responds to the energy you offer. If you offer resistance, you experience struggle. If you offer trust, you experience flow. This is why so many people reach the outer symbols of success and still feel empty inside. They believe the promise that achievement would bring fulfillment. They climbed the mountain, reached the summit, and then discovered that the peace they were seeking was never waiting at the top, because peace is not found at the end of becoming, it is found within it. Success is the joy you feel while you are becoming the person your soul came here to express. And the person you came here to become is not defined by titles, possessions, or recognition. The person you came here to become is an expression of the divine intelligence that created you. You are not a human being struggling to become spiritual. You are a spiritual being learning how to express itself through human experience. When you forget this, life becomes heavy. You begin to believe that you must prove your worth. You begin to believe that the world is judging you. And the ego steps in and tells you 1,000 stories about who you must become in order to be valuable. The ego loves destinations. It loves comparisons. It loves the idea that happiness is always somewhere else. But your soul lives only in the present moment. Your soul does not ask, how successful am I compared to others? Your soul asks only one question: am I expressing the love, creativity, and awareness that flows through me? And when you align with that question, something miraculous begins to happen. You start to feel successful long before the world calls you successful. You wake up with a quiet sense of meaning. You feel gratitude for the simple fact that you are here. You move through your work not as a burden, but as an opportunity to express your gifts. And even the challenges that appear along the way begin to feel different. Because challenges are not interruptions of your path. They are part of the becoming. Every obstacle you face is shaping you into a stronger, wiser, more compassionate version of yourself. Every moment of uncertainty is stretching your awareness beyond what you previously believed possible. The universe is not trying to stop you. It is refining you. And when you begin to trust that process, you stop fighting your own life. You begin to understand that becoming is sacred. You see, most people treat their lives as a series of problems to be solved. But life is not a problem. Life is an unfolding. The caterpillar does not panic inside the cocoon. It does not believe it is failing because it cannot yet fly. Transformation requires patience. And the same intelligence that turns the caterpillar into a butterfly is also guiding your evolution. The universe is not random. It is intelligent. It is creative. And it is constantly inviting you to grow into a larger version of yourself. But the invitation is not about becoming someone else. It is about remembering who you already are. You are not here to compete for significance. You are here to express the infinite potential that exists within you. And the most beautiful part of this journey is that you do not have to wait for permission to feel fulfilled. Fulfillment is not granted by society. It is chosen within consciousness. The moment you choose to love the process of becoming, you step out of the prison of constant striving. You realize that success is not measured by how much you accumulate, but by how deeply you live. It is measured by the peace you carry within you, by the kindness you extend to others, by the authenticity with which you express your truth, by the courage you show when life asks you to grow. True success is invisible to the world. It is the quiet joy you feel when you know you are living in alignment with your soul. And when you begin to live this way, something remarkable happens. The external results you once chased begin to appear naturally. Opportunities arise, relationships deepen, creativity flows. Doors open in ways you could never have forced through sheer effort. because you are no longer chasing success. You are attracting it. The energy you radiate becomes magnetic. People are drawn to the peace you carry. They sense the authenticity in your presence. They feel the freedom you have allowed yourself to experience. And without even trying, you become an inspiration to others. Not because you are perfect, but because you are real. Because you have remembered that life is not about arriving somewhere. It is about awakening to the miracle of being here, right now, in this breath, in this moment that will never exist again in the same way. When you begin to live from this awareness, every ordinary experience becomes extraordinary. A conversation becomes meaningful. A walk becomes meditation. Even silence becomes a doorway into something vast and sacred. And you begin to realize that joy was never something you had to earn. Joy is the natural state of a soul that has stopped resisting its own unfolding. So if you find yourself feeling impatient with your progress, if you feel that you should be further along by now, pause for a moment and gently return to the truth. You are not behind. You are becoming, and the joy of that becoming is the greatest success you will ever know. Because one day, when you look back on your life, you will not measure it by the awards you collected or the milestones you reached. You will measure it by the moments when your heart felt open, by the times you allowed love to guide you, by the courage you showed when the path was uncertain. You will remember the becoming, and in that remembering, you will realize something that the soul has always known. Success was never waiting at the end of the journey. Success was the joy you felt every step of the way. And when you begin to see life through this deeper lens, something remarkable happens inside you. The urgency that once filled your days begins to dissolve. The constant pressure to arrive somewhere fades like mist under the morning sun. You start to understand that existence itself is not a race, and that the soul was never designed to hurry. The ego thrives on hurry. It feeds on comparison and urgency. It whispers, "Come more, you must achieve more, you must prove more." It convinces you that who you are right now is somehow incomplete. That fulfillment is always just one accomplishment away, one recognition away, one moment of validation away. But your soul does not speak that language. Your soul speaks the language of presence. And presence is where all genuine joy is born. When you are fully present, you begin to notice something extraordinary about life. You see that the universe is not withholding anything from you. In fact, it is constantly offering you opportunities to awaken, to expand, to remember your divine nature. The only thing that ever blocks these gifts is the belief that happiness must wait for some future version of yourself. But that future version does not exist. There is only you, here, now, in this living moment of awareness. And when you finally stop postponing your joy, when you allow yourself to experience gratitude for who you are becoming instead of frustration for who you are not yet, you align with the very creative force of the universe. The universe creates through expansion. A seed becomes a sprout. A sprout becomes a tree. A tree becomes a forest. And nowhere in this process is there anxiety about the final outcome. Growth unfolds naturally when it is not resisted. The intelligence that governs the stars, the oceans, and the turning of the seasons is the same intelligence that lives within you. You are not separate from that intelligence. You are an expression of it. When you truly absorb this truth, you begin to release one of the most destructive illusions ever created by the human mind, the illusion that your value is determined by external achievements. Yes, achievements can be beautiful. They can be expressions of creativity, discipline, and dedication. But they are not the source of your worth. Your worth existed before you achieved anything. You were worthy the moment you entered this world. You were worthy before anyone praised you. You were worthy before anyone believed in you. And you will remain worthy regardless of what the world decides to celebrate or ignore. The soul never questions its own value. Only the ego does that. The ego wants applause. The ego wants recognition. The ego wants evidence that it matters. But the soul already knows it matters because the soul understands something the ego has forgotten. Your existence itself is evidence of meaning. You are here because life intended you to be here. You are here because the universe chose to express itself through your unique consciousness. There has never been another person exactly like you in all of history. Not in personality, not in perception, not in the precise arrangement of experiences that have shaped the way you see the world. You are a singular expression of creative intelligence. And the purpose of that intelligence is not simply to survive. It is to expand into awareness. This is why the journey of becoming is so sacred. Every challenge you face is an invitation to awaken to a deeper level of understanding. Every disappointment carries within it the potential for profound growth. Every moment of uncertainty asks you to trust something greater than your fear. But the mind often resists this invitation. The mind wants guarantees. It wants certainty. It wants a map that shows exactly where the path will lead. Yet life does not reveal itself in that way. Life unfolds moment by moment, step by step, breath by breath. And the more you learn to trust this unfolding, the more you begin to experience the quiet joy that comes from living in harmony with the present. Joy does not require perfection. Joy requires acceptance. When you accept where you are in the process of becoming, you stop wasting energy fighting your own journey. You stop telling yourself that you should be somewhere else. Instead, you begin to meet each moment with curiosity. What is life teaching me here? What part of myself is being invited to grow? How can I bring more love, more awareness, more presence into this experience? These questions open doors that force and control can never unlock, because transformation does not come from pressure. Transformation comes from awareness. The moment you become aware of your thoughts, your beliefs, and the patterns that have been shaping your life, you reclaim your creative power. You realize that the circumstances of your life are not simply happening to you. They are responding to the energy you carry. Your thoughts are not passive events in the mind. They are energetic signals that interact with the fabric of reality. Every belief you hold becomes a lens through which you interpret the world. And that interpretation shapes the experiences you attract. If you believe life is a struggle, you will notice evidence of struggle everywhere. If you believe life is a miracle, you will begin to notice miracles. This is why changing your thoughts changes your life. But changing your thoughts does not mean forcing yourself to be positive. It means becoming conscious of the inner dialogue that has been quietly directing your experience. Many people spend their lives repeating thoughts they never intentionally chose. Thoughts inherited from culture, family, and past disappointments. Thoughts that tell them they are not good enough, not talented enough, not deserving enough. Yet these thoughts are not truths. They are habits. And habits can be changed. The moment you begin to observe your mind instead of blindly believing it, you create space between who you are and what you think. In that space, something powerful emerges. Freedom. Freedom to choose a different perspective. Freedom to release old resentments. Freedom to forgive the past. Freedom to step into the present without carrying the weight of yesterday. You see, resentment is one of the heaviest burdens the human spirit can carry. When you hold resentment, you remain emotionally tied to the moment that hurt you. The past continues to live inside your present awareness. But forgiveness is the act of reclaiming your energy. Forgiveness does not mean approving of what happened. It means refusing to let the past define the quality of your life now. There are no justified resentments, not because the pain was imaginary, but because holding on to that pain prevents you from experiencing the freedom your soul longs for. The moment you release resentment, you reclaim your inner peace. And inner peace is the foundation of authentic success. When your mind is peaceful, creativity flows more easily. When your heart is open, relationships deepen. When your awareness is present, opportunities become visible that were once hidden by stress and distraction. Life begins to feel lighter, not because challenges disappear, but because you are no longer resisting them with fear. You begin to see yourself not as a victim of circumstances, but as a participant in the unfolding of life. And that participation is filled with wonder, because the more present you become, the more clearly you see that existence itself is a profound mystery. The beating of your heart, the rhythm of your breath, the awareness that allows you to witness your thoughts and emotions. All of it is evidence of something extraordinary moving through you. Call it consciousness, call it spirit, call it the divine. Whatever name you choose, it is the same infinite intelligence that has guided life for billions of years. And it is not separate from you. It is you, not the ego you constructed from labels and achievements, but the deeper essence that exists beneath all of that. The part of you that observes, the part of you that feels love, the part of you that recognizes truth when you hear it. That essence is not striving to become worthy. It already is. And when you begin to live from that awareness, success takes on an entirely different meaning. Success becomes the peace you feel when you trust the unfolding of your life. Success becomes the gratitude you feel for the simple miracle of being alive. Success becomes the quiet joy of knowing that every moment of growth, every step of becoming, is part of a sacred journey that your soul chose long before you were aware of it. And suddenly the question is no longer, when will I finally be successful? The question becomes something far more beautiful. How deeply can I experience the joy of becoming who I truly am? And when that question begins to live quietly within your awareness, you notice that something subtle yet powerful begins to change in the way you move through your days. The pressure to perform slowly loosens its grip. The anxious voice that once measured every step begins to fade. You stop living as if your life were a test you must pass, and instead you begin to live as if it were a sacred experience meant to be felt, explored, and expressed. This is the moment when becoming transforms from a struggle into a revelation. Because the soul does not experience life as a sequence of achievements. The soul experiences life as expansion. Every experience, whether joyful or painful, carries the potential to deepen your awareness of who you truly are. And the moment you begin to trust this deeper unfolding, you realize that nothing in your journey has ever been wasted. Even the moments you once called failure, even the chapters of your life that seemed filled with confusion, even the times when you believed you had lost your way. Those moments were not detours. They were awakenings in disguise. Life has a mysterious way of guiding you toward growth through the very experiences that initially appear to break you open. The relationships that end, the opportunities that collapse, the dreams that do not unfold in the way you expected. In those moments, the ego often interprets the experience as loss. It says, something has gone wrong, something has been taken from me. But the soul whispers a different message. The soul says, something is being revealed. Because every challenge that appears in your life is inviting you to discover a deeper dimension of yourself, a strength you did not know you possessed, a compassion you had not yet expressed, a courage that had been quietly waiting beneath the surface of your fear. This is why growth so often arrives wrapped in uncertainty. If life unfolded exactly according to your expectations, there would be no need for transformation. The mind would remain comfortable in its familiar patterns. But the universe is not interested in keeping you comfortable. The universe is interested in helping you remember your true nature. And your true nature is limitless. You are not a fixed identity. You are not the labels that were placed upon you. You are not the roles you play in the eyes of society. Beneath all of those temporary descriptions exists something far more profound. You are awareness itself. The same awareness that looks through the eyes of every living being. The same consciousness that observes the stars, the oceans, the mountains, and the quiet unfolding of life in every corner of existence. This awareness is not limited by fear. It is not defined by failure. It is not diminished by time. And the more deeply you begin to identify with this awareness instead of the ego's fragile story about who you are, the more peaceful your life becomes. Because awareness does not struggle to prove itself. Awareness simply observes, learns, and expands. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to move through your life without the constant need to defend your identity, without the pressure to appear successful, without the silent comparison that measures your worth against the achievements of others. Imagine waking up each day with the simple intention of expressing the highest version of yourself in whatever circumstances arise. Not proving, not competing, simply expressing. This is the beginning of true freedom. Because when you release the need to prove yourself, you free your energy to create, to love, to explore the possibilities of your existence without fear of judgment. You no longer wait for external validation before allowing yourself to feel fulfilled. Fulfillment becomes an internal state, and this internal state begins to shape everything around you. The relationships you attract become more authentic. The work you engage in becomes more meaningful. The way you experience challenges becomes more compassionate and patient. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin asking, what is this experience inviting me to learn? And in that shift, your life becomes a journey of discovery rather than a battle for control. The ego fears uncertainty because it believes it must predict and manage every outcome. But awareness understands that life's most beautiful moments often arrive unplanned, a conversation that opens your heart, a new idea that inspires creativity, a moment of stillness that suddenly fills you with clarity. These moments cannot be forced. They arise naturally when the mind becomes quiet enough to receive them. This is why presence is such a powerful force. Presence is the doorway through which the soul experiences the fullness of life. When you are present, you are no longer trapped in memories of the past or worries about the future. You are fully alive in the only moment that actually exists, right now. In this moment, nothing is missing. In this moment, life is complete. And when you begin to experience the present in this way, you realize that success is not something waiting for you somewhere ahead. Success is the depth of awareness you bring to the life you are living now. It is the appreciation you feel for the journey of becoming. You begin to notice the quiet beauty of small things, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the rhythm of your breath, the laughter shared with someone you love. These simple experiences carry a richness that the ego often overlooks while chasing distant goals, but the soul recognizes their value. The soul understands that life is not measured only by extraordinary achievements. It is also measured by the depth with which you experience ordinary moments. And when you allow yourself to feel gratitude for these moments, something remarkable happens inside your consciousness. Gratitude dissolves the illusion of lack. It reminds you that even while you are still becoming, there is already so much to appreciate. Gratitude shifts your attention from what is missing to what is present. And what is present is always more abundant than the mind initially realizes. There is breath in your lungs. There is awareness in your mind. There is life moving through every cell of your body. These are not small things. They are miracles. When you begin to live from this perspective, you no longer feel that success must be dramatic or visible to the world. Success becomes the quiet alignment between your inner state and the truth of your being. It becomes the calm confidence that you are exactly where you need to be in the unfolding of your life. Not because everything is perfect, but because every experience is contributing to your evolution. And when you trust this unfolding, you stop resisting change. You welcome it. You understand that every stage of life is temporary, and that each stage carries its own lessons, its own beauty, its own opportunities for growth. Just as the seasons move naturally from winter to spring to summer to autumn, your life also moves through cycles of learning and transformation. There will be times when you feel strong and clear, filled with inspiration and momentum. And there will be times when you feel uncertain, reflective, and inwardly focused. Both are necessary. Both are sacred. Just as the soil must rest before new seeds can grow, the soul sometimes requires stillness in order to integrate what it has learned. And when you begin to honor these rhythms instead of resisting them, life becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance. You move with it rather than against it. You trust that the same intelligence guiding the galaxies is also guiding your path, because it is. You are not alone in this journey. You never have been. The energy that created the universe is present within you in every moment. It flows through your thoughts, your emotions, your creativity, your compassion. It expresses itself through the unique perspective you bring into the world. And when you allow yourself to become fully aligned with that energy, something extraordinary happens. You begin to feel a quiet joy that does not depend on circumstances, a joy that arises simply from being connected to the source of life itself. This joy does not shout. It does not demand attention. It exists as a gentle sense of peace beneath the surface of your experiences, a knowing that your life has meaning beyond what the ego can measure. And this is the essence of true success. Success is not about reaching a final destination where all struggle disappears. Success is about the joy you feel while you are becoming, the joy of discovering who you truly are, the joy of expressing love in a world that often forgets it, the joy of growing, learning, expanding, and awakening to the miracle of your existence. And when you embrace this joy, when you allow yourself to celebrate the unfolding of your life rather than constantly judging it, you discover something that the soul has always known. You were never meant to chase success. You were meant to embody it through your presence, through your awareness, through the simple, powerful truth of becoming the fullest expression of the divine life that is already living within you.